The truth is finally out. Hey y'all, hey, welcome to the next episode of the Deep Dive with Toya Creates. Today is Friday, thank God, May 8th, and we are about to get into today's episode of Beyond the Gates. But first, per usual, if you love Beyond the Gates as much as I do, please like, comment, follow, share, subscribe, do all of the things. I would love to chat with you about the stories, especially on days like today, because Beyond the Gates, I mean, even with the 2 preemptions this week, bravo, loved it. So let's get into it. I mean, there was just so much going on today. I want to start with the good stuff today. So after what? Months of this plasma ring, we finally got Grayson to spill his guts today. And I was on the edge of my seat. So we open with Jacob. He like, you ain't have to stand at my door screaming I'm an undercover cop like this. And Grayson is just on edge. He has had enough. That baby is done. He's ready to hightail it out of the DMV with his mama in tow. So then Smitty is still in the room, but he's kind of in the back, and he comes out, and Grayson was like, with his little scissors, who are you? And Smitty's like this, it's scissors. Smitty, put your hands down. But Jacob's like, calm down. This is Smitty. He's an investigative journalist. He is the one who brought this case to me, and he can be trusted. So then Smitty also introduced himself, and Grayson calmed down. So Grayson is then brought up to speed on the investigation and what Smitty and Jacob have been doing today. And he also is made aware that Smitty and Max knew each other. And Grayson was like, oh yeah, the guy who got stabbed, and then they were coming to finish the job. And Smitty was like, yeah, they were, but thanks to you, Grayson, they did not, because you did the right thing and you helped us get Max out of there. So good. Like, they know Grayson is not a bad guy. Like, they have determined this now, but Grayson just got caught up. So then after this, Jacob tells Smitty to go home, and that he will update him later, because there's nothing else you could do. So when he leaves, Grayson and Jacob are able to talk even more, and Jacob is explaining how he's really close to figuring this out, but he needs Grayson's help. He needs to know who is the contact, and Grayson's like, he wants out, but he hopes that they are able to kill this ring. And he like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm leaving town with my mama. And Jacob was like, if you take one more step out of that door, I'm going to arrest you. So then Grayson came on back and was like, you got some water? And then they started talking some more. So then Jacob is giving him more information. He's telling him that his actions when he got shanked and he went over to Ashley's house put Ashley and Naomi at risk. So I know Jacob is mad about his wife now being at risk. I'm like, I need a break, y'all. It's Friday. I'm tired. Anyway, hold on. He was saying that was you put them at risk, but Grayson said he had no other choice. Was I just going to bleed out? So I went to Ashley. So, okay. Grayson starts opening up even more. He starts talking about how he got involved in this. Again, he was just looking for money to help with his mother's Parkinson's. And with this job, he was able to put her in a better facility with better care. So, and then at first he was not moving blood. I forgot what he said they were moving first, but then he was ordered to steal the blood plasma. That's what he's been doing in this lab. And if he didn't, they were threatening his sick mother. These people are crazy. And so that is why he continues to do it, because he's like, I don't have another choice. I don't want my mama hurt. So Grayson is just all caught up at this point, and he also tells Jacob that Ashley did dump him, and Jacob apologizes, but Grayson's like, man, you don't care, you told me not to date her anyways. But he just didn't want you to date her because he knew you was out here pushing P or whatever. So, he was trying to protect his woman's bestie. So Grayson finally says, all right, I will give you the name, but you got to do a favor for me first. And this is, look, I bang with Grayson. Grayson is smart. Thank you. He was like to Jacob, I will tell you what you want to know, but I need full immunity, and I need it in writing. Because Jacob was like, well, yeah, I could do that, lickety split. And Grayson was like, so you thought I needed it in writing? Your word is not enough. No offense, because you've been dragging me on this entire time. I need it in writing. That's right. Take note, people. So Jacob's still like, my word is good. My dad is the chief of police, but all right, whatever. So then Jacob pulls some strings and he calls some people and he gets the immunity. And the document is in Grayson's email in about 10 minutes. So Grayson's like, I got it. And Jacob's like, yeah, all you have to do is sign off on it. Now, I kept up my word and you keep yours. So Grayson is thrilled. He's not going to jail, and baby, he sang like a canary. He was just like, the contact is Leah, and she the chief of staff. And that's it. Grayson is done. He is done. Okay, so Jacob took that information, and then, of course, he called Smitty. Now, Smitty had gone home, and Martin's been there. He had some earlier visits from Naomi, but we can get into that a little later. Smitty is home, and he's just so distraught, and Martin picks up on it, but he's not prying because he's giving Smitty, the same respect that Smitty gave him when he was pursuing his political stuff. And he understands he can't ask him all this stuff and Smitty can't tell him. So Martin was just like, what do you need? How can I help you? And Smitty said that he just wanted to basically not think. And Martin said, I got the perfect thing. I thought they was going to drink, smoke a little. No. He was like, may I have this dance? So, I like them together. He was like, okay, Smitty, you can take this time to help me practice for the cotillion. I guess that'll be next week or maybe in 2 weeks. But, and then they started practicing their waltz because Smitty has apparently been taking dance classes. And so Martin was like, basically show me the ropes so I'm not out here looking stupid. So they're waltzing and Smitty's phone is on the couch and then it starts buzzing and you see an unknown number, but Smitty doesn't pick it up. So then Martin goes upstairs for something and then Smitty gets the phone, and that is when Jacob is like, you will not believe this. Grayson gave me the name and it is Leah. Smitty was like, clutching pearls, the chief of staff at Memorial? He was like, she's such an upstanding citizen. I can't believe this. Now, anyone who has interacted with this heifer or who has seen the other side wouldn't find this hard to believe, but Smitty hasn't seen it. So he is shocked. And that is basically how that part ends. So we know, or now everybody knows, Leah, well, not everybody, the people who need to know that Leah is the contact. But who do y'all think is her boss? It might be Joey. And that would, it would not surprise me that much, but I kind of would be gagged a little bit if it is Joey. But okay, let's just talk about Naomi. Naomi and Ashley talked about getting some intel from Smitty, or trying to, because Ashley is convinced that Smitty knows something. And Naomi's like, I don't really think so, but that's her bestie. And so she was like, I'm going to check for you. So Naomi stops by Martin's and she's looking for Smitty, but he's not there. And so those two just talk about the campaign, and Naomi expresses her concerns, and she's asking, like, well, why do you want to do this? And so Martin explained that it's basically his purpose of life. Like, he knows it's very risky, but he's basically not going to be fulfilled if he cannot do this. And so he still wants to pursue the Senate, despite the considerable risks. And Naomi's an attorney. Things get shaky for her sometimes. She is wary to hear this, because she's just, scared about what a bigger stage or platform might open up for Martin and the family. But she also gets it, being an attorney. And so she kind of leaves it at that. And then they also discuss the cotillion, and Martin asks if Jacob is going to make it, and she was just like, probably not. And then that's when she, got a call or whatever. She had a way out. And so she leaves. So, oh my God, today we saw Nicole and Carlton, y'all. So, okay, they're done go-karting, which was, okay. And then they go to Orphe Jean's for dessert. So they are in there, and that's when Sunny Anderson walks in. I'm like, okay, I know this woman from a Holiday Baking Championship, and that's it, and that's all. No shade to her. But then she said, oh, they were talking about how she's on the Drew Barrymore show. I'm like, oh, okay, I know. All right, I didn't know Sunny was on there. But cool, whatever. So Sunny walks in, and Carlton starts fangirling at that table, and Nicole's like, man, let's go over and say hi. Because, I'm Nicole Dupree. This is my town. This is my city. They go over, and Sunny's like, oh my God, you're Nicole Dupree? As in, Senator Dupree's people? And Nicole's like, yeah, that's my dad. Flex. And so Sunny tells a story about how Vernon is the reason why Sunny's even at Orphe Jean's, because way back in the day, she was there for something, and he was there, and he got the last piece of peach cobbler, and he gave it to her, and she was hooked. That was it. So, they listen to the story. They're like, oh, well, Link, don't let us take your time. Enjoy it. And they go back to their table. So then they get their little desserts, and he comes to the table, and Nicole, nasty Nikki, was like, maybe we could get dessert elsewhere. Wink. So they leave that, banana pudding and cherry crumble. I don't want that. They leave it on the table. But before that, they kiss. And they run out. And then we see the waitress come over to Sunny's table. And Sunny was like, I need to change my order after seeing that. I'll have what she's having. So then, this part stunned me. So they're at Nicole's house. And Nasty Nikki is getting undressed. And Carlton's on the bed like, oh God, how did you become so sexy? And she and him start getting comfortable, start getting into their little rhythm, right? So Carlton is there at first. I look up again, and why is Nicole fantasizing about Ted? You look up, and then it's Ted on top of her, no longer Carlton, and the way she jumped up, she was like, and Carlton was like, what's wrong? She was like, nothing. Let's change positions or something. So they go ahead and do the doom. And Carlton's just like, I gotta head out. It got an early morning. You want some water? Nicole says yes. And then he goes off, and she has another flashback to her Teddy Weddy. I know I'm team Ted and Shanice, but he's never going to stop loving Nicole. And vice versa. And honestly, we did not even get the opportunity to see them together, because this soap started in February 2025. I feel like they were broken up by April. So, like, we've barely seen Ted and Nicole as a couple, and especially with this newer Ted, because we had turtleneck Ted before, and it took a little while to adjust. I'm not gonna lie, because I was just like, why would they do this? If the man was not gonna be here for the long haul, why did you cast him in the first place? Because I loved him, and it was hard to transition, but I've accepted new Ted, and I would like to see how Nicole and new Ted interact with each other. But I was cackling, laughing. I loved it. So, I'm sure these two are going to get back together in the very near future. So, speaking of Teddy Weddy, he's at the hospital, Shanice is at the desk, and Ashley is at the desk too, because her stupid ass went to work. I wouldn't have went to work if people were spying on me and trying to kill me. But you like it, I love it, Ashley. So they're there, and Ted walks up, and he's trying to, like, make small talk with Shanice, and he's playing this little surprise dinner, and he's like, oh, I have champagne and this, and I want to invite you over. Shanice was like, she was ice in her veins. She was not having it. She shut him down. She was like, oh, all of those things you're mentioning are things that I can do on my own. And I think I have a credit at the club for a massage and this and that. And he just walked off. And Ashley was like, oh my gosh, I can learn so much from you because I'm also having man troubles. Now, they don't get to get into it because Leah then walks out and interrupts the conversation. And so she has some files that she wants taken to Ted's office. And so Ashley hears it, and she knows, like, Shanice don't want to be around Ted, so she offers to take it herself. And Leah was like, no, I want Shanice to do it because I need to talk to you. Oh my God, I'm so tired of Leah messing with Ashley. Girl, whatever. So Shanice reluctantly does that. And then Leah is basically like, I want to follow up with you on your relationship. I'm like, what the fuck? Ashley basically, like, kind of cuts her off. She's like, yeah. You were right. I didn't need the distractions, and me and Grayson broke up. The end. Oh, patient so-and-so needs their IV change. Leah was like, okay, good, go. Don't keep them waiting. And Leah's just so happy to hear this news that she texts Grayson, and she's like, good job in making Ashley dump you. Rub it in the portal. Anywho, so then Shanice goes up in this office and she's like, here your files, basically. And Ted is like, please, can we just talk? So she sits down and they start talking. So hold on, let me get my notes about it. So Ted wants to clear the air, and he tells Shanice that he was not siding with Dana Leslie. And then Shanice was like, well, what am I supposed to think when I see a man who is interacting with a woman who literally destroyed his life? And Ted was like, because Shanice was basically implying that he had feelings for Dana Leslie because he talked to her after Anita chewed her out that day. And Ted was like, are you goofy? Basically, he was like, if you think I have feelings for Dana Leslie, you have lost your mind. Or he asked her, have you lost your mind? And he said, the only feelings I have for Dana Leslie are crushing regret, or is crushing regret. And so Shanice was like, I mean, I could or would have believed that if you hadn't slept with her again. And after she showed you exactly who she was. So then Ted is blaming it on the alcohol. Hey, Jamie Foxx. And he was like, I was in a dark place and you pulled me out of that place. So Shanice was like, oh, okay, let's play. So what if me and you are together and we have a big blowout and you go over to the bar and Dana walks in with one of those ridiculous outfits and your favorite wig? What you gonna do? I was like, oh my God. She's like, are you going to leave or are you going to continue to entertain the foolishness? And all Ted could say was, no, like, I made a mistake. You pulled me out from the brink. You are the only woman I want to be with. Does anyone believe that? Because if Nasty Nikki said today, Ted, I want you back, Shanice would be dead to him. Do you hear me? Dead. And I get it. But Ted, no, she's not the only woman that you realistically really want. She's the only woman that you want who will have you at this time. So, anyways, Shanice is like, well, if I'm the only woman that you want, why does our bed feel so crowded? Now, your bed feels so crowded because it's partly you being insecure about Nicole. Let's just keep it a buck, Shanice. And it's partly Ted with his propensity to entertain foolishness. He is too damn old not to understand this, and he is too smart to be this dumb. And then Shanice goes back to the desk, and at that point, I guess some time had passed because he was able to, I didn't really see what it was. I guess it was like a treat, a pudding, maybe something she made, and he put a little note on it. And Shanice was just like, okay, I laid down the gauntlet. That's what she told Ashley. I laid down the gauntlet, and now it's time for me to decide what I'm going to do. And I agree. Can we please make a decision, people? Now, I feel like the decision is going to be, I'm going to give Ted a chance and I'm going to stop being insecure for the story. Because I know Ted is going to get back with Nicole at some point. So, yeah, that was it for Ted and Shanice. Let's see. So Naomi and Ashley also meet up a little later at the hospital, just comparing notes. They both have no information, basically. So they're like, okay. And Naomi tells her that she's going to go back to Ashley's apartment in safety. Yes, I agree. Like, you, Naomi, shouldn't have left the house today either. I don't know why. Like, you could have met up with Smitty the next day. If somebody tells me I'm literally being watched, I'm not leaving the unit. But, okay. So that was basically it with Naomi and Ashley. Naomi don't know nothing because Martin doesn't know anything, and Ashley has found nothing as well. So then, Ted's on his way out, and we see him interacting with Leah. Now, she was very nice with Ted. She said she sensed a little chill between he and Shanice. Now, why are you so worried about what everybody else is doing? You're not HR. You're the chief of staff. That's a different capacity. Mind your business. But, yeah. And she actually says, maybe there's some redemption and maybe it'll be easier than you think to get with Shanice. So I was like, okay, Leah can be a decent human being for once. We also saw Ren calling Leah, and he was saying whatever is not happening. And Leah is super mad about that. And she's just like, now I have to rearrange the schedule. And also, there are some loose ends that I need to handle. And she is looking at Ashley while she says this. And I believe, looking at my very long notes, that was everything that happened today. So Grayson spilled his guts. He's still in town for now. Oh my God, no, it's not. I totally forgot about Andre and Danny. Now, what the hell was that? We went in a very roundabout way to discover that Andre secretly planned a surprise trip for he and Danny to be able to go to Tokyo and see the Chelsea Cat bag release in Tokyo. This is how it happened. So Andre's on the phone in the living room and he's talking kind of like in code, whatever. And Danny walks up behind him and he doesn't know. And then he ends the phone call and he sees her and he's like, oh, how much of that conversation did you hear? And she was like, oh, enough to hear that you could be hiding something potentially. But she wasn't like catty or anything. She was just intrigued because he was talking about sanitizing itineraries and making exchanges. So she was like, oh, you sound very Mission Impossible. And you could be packing a major secret. And then she's like, Andre, why did you choose this nomadic lifestyle that you have? And then they start having fairy tale time. I was like, what is going on? So the first package was, they were like, it was like Foxy Brown, like the 70s. And Andre's a photographer slash spy slash international man of mystery. I was like, what the okay. And so that was Danny's made up story about what Andre was doing. And then Andre took his turn and told his little fairy tale. And he was like I guess he was just himself with some money. And he comes in the Orphe jeans and Danny is a little old waitress behind the counter. And she was talking like that. Like, why? So, but she was really a princess in disguise. That's what Andre said. This was out of pocket. I was like, what is this? And later when they are in the bed and she's just like, so what were you really talking about on that mysterious phone call? And Andre says, it's about a commercial shoot for a K-pop group. And then he invites Danny to come with him to Tokyo and then Korea for Fashion Week. And that's when she puts it together. Like, did you arrange for me to see Chelsea Cat's show in Tokyo? And he said yes. And she said, oh, you're the best husband in the world. So yeah, I don't know how I forgot that because that was so wild to me, but cute nonetheless. I really do like Andre and Danny together, but I know just like Nicole and Kyle, it's not gonna last because Danny gonna go back to Bill. Once Haley pulls off whatever she's pulling off, like I feel like maybe Bill's gonna be in like critical condition or something. I don't know. Something drastic is gonna happen and that's gonna be it. So like now, that was everything that happened today. It was so chocked full of stories. I was just like, this is fantastic. I love this soap. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about today. What do you think is going to happen next now that Leah has been exposed? I cannot wait to see what they're going to do next. And I hope they still wrap this story up quickly because I'm tired of it. And Nasty Nikki fantasizing about Teddy Weddy was not on my bingo card for today. So I'm all in on that. Like, girl, I can't wait for her to tell, like, Danny and tell Vanessa. Have a good old kiki about it. I cannot wait. And I think Ted and Shanice will reconcile, like I said, but I think eventually he's going to go back to Nasty Nikki and Shanice is going to be heartbroken. Maybe she could date Kyle because I would date Kyle. She could date Carlton too, He hasn't been a snake to her. What else? Oh my God. I wonder what Leah's going to do to Ashley because I wonder if Grayson's going to leave because he did confront Jacob. He got his immunity. And then we saw him at Orphe Jeans towards the end just looking at his cracked phone and a picture of Ashley because he really likes her. But I think that man about to run. But that would be stupid because then Leah and them will be after him. So, yeah. What else? Yeah, I think that's basically it. So, I am very excited to see what happens on Monday. I hope everyone has a great Mother's Day weekend. For those who celebrate, RIP to the moms who have already passed on. And I will see you guys on Monday. Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next.